I'll focus myself to critical mineral needs and particularly the mineral sector. This year's budget speech marks an increased outlay for capital expenditure, thus ensuring a longer term growth perspective. In addition, as part of the government's overall market borrowings in 22-23, sovereign green bonds will be issued to mobilize green infrastructure resources. The proceeds will be deployed in public sector projects that help reduce the economy's carbon intensity. The budget outlines a section on the energy transition and climate action. It mentions that the risks of climate change are the strongest negative externalities that affect India and other countries. It refers to the low carbon strategy India had announced at the Conference of Parties COP26 meeting held in Glasgow on climate change issues. India had announced its strong commitment towards a low carbon strategy to ensure sustainable development. Consequently, India has committed to increasing its non fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030 and achieving the target of net zero emissions by 2070. The budget also mentions various incentives to encourage solar power capacity. The circular economic transition is expected to help in productivity enhancement and create enormous opportunities for new businesses and jobs. The action plans for 10 sectors, including electronic waste, end of life vehicles, used oil waste, and toxic and hazardous industrial waste, is also mentioned. The budget last year, 21-22, mentioned the need to commercialize the mineral sectors in the context of Atmanirbhar and self-reliant India. This year, Annexure 3 mentions minerals to be one of the key sectors in strategic disinvestment. Further, Chapter 6 of the Economic Survey outlines the issues of sustainable development and climate change, the need to start the one word movement life, which means life cycle for environment, urging mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption. So, this much on my reading on the issues of climate change, energy transition from the budget and economic survey announcements. Now, we at CSEP have been working on the need for critical minerals required for moving to green technologies. A recent study by CSEP assesses the criticality of 23 select non-fuel minerals for India and projects their needs for manufacturing green technologies equipment required for climate change mitigation. The study evaluates the criticality of each mineral along two dimensions: the economic importance of the mineral and the supply risk that we face when we procure it. It projects India's mineral needs for renewable electricity generation and electric vehicle manufacturing in line with its various climate change mitigation objectives over the next 2 decades. We find that there will be an increase in the demand for several critical minerals as India transitions towards renewable power generation and electric vehicles. For example, copper, manganese, zinc, and indium will be required for renewable electricity generation equipment manufacturing. Likewise, the move to electric vehicles would require increasing quantities of various minerals, including copper, lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements. However, India does not have any known resources or reserves of nickel, cobalt, molybdenum, and rare earth elements. And the needs for copper and silver are projected to be higher than India's current reserves. The results of our research and this projection exercise indicate that India is not equipped to meet its critical minerals, green technology manufacturing requirements through domestic mining alone. Instead, imports of minerals for domestic manufacturing or imports of final products embedded with these minerals will be needed to meet its policy agenda on climate change mitigation. While India would need to rely on imports of these technologies over the next 2 decades, further work must be done to better utilize the available minerals within the country for its longer term needs. India can be better prepared for the next stage of green technology utilization by laying the groundwork for exploring and mining at a much faster pace. India has significant resources of nickel, cobalt, molybdenum, and heavy earth elements, but further exploration would be needed to evaluate the economically mineable resources. The country must also focus on securing supply chains for critical minerals and acquiring foreign minerals assets to ensure a sustained supply. India will also need to undertake serious research and build a policy framework for becoming self reliant in clean energy and high tech equipment by promptly exploring and mining critical minerals and setting up investments in the downstream value chains of requisite manufacturing equipment at home. These are some of the policy perspectives emerging from the CSEP ongoing research with regard to energy transition and climate change, in particular, the need for critical minerals. Thank you.